Is Max Verstappen going to win the championship next year? Or will he flop and, like many greats before him, peak at 2 titles? Red Bull superstar Max Verstappen has secured his second Drivers' Championship after winning the Japanese Grand Prix. Now, the 2022 title fight was nothing like last year's, with the Dutchman cruising to victory after overcoming some early challenges. But while this season has demonstrated Verstappen and Red Bull's incredible ability, 2023 may paint a different picture, with Mercedes likely to return to their previous form. This all adds up to an exciting prospect, potentially setting up a rematch of the Titanic title between Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton. So if you're wondering whether Verstappen will have a title-winning car next year and how he will fare against the competition, you are in luck because that is exactly what we will be looking at in this video. So buckle up! Max Verstappen has long been touted as one of the sport's best, and it is in 2022 that he has finally silenced his detractors, proving once and for all that he belongs among the greats. While his 2021 victory had been questioned due to circumstances of the season finale in Abu Dhabi, this season is a completely different story. The 25-year-old had revealed a new side to himself, becoming a more mature racer and less prone to the errors that have plagued him since his promotion to Formula One. Yes, Verstappen has demonstrated that he is human by making the occasional mistake, though he makes very few of them. As an example, consider the 2022 Singapore Grand Prix. When attempting to overtake Lando Norris, he made a mistake by entering the wet section of the track, dropping him to the back. His pace that weekend, however, was still exceptional. The 25-year-old had 2 laps that would have given him pole position in the wet more than a second, and he would have undoubtedly dominated the race, similar to his performance at the Japanese Grand Prix a week later, where he was crowned champion. You will find it difficult a weekend where Verstappen has been off the pace in qualifying and the race compared to his teammates. It simply hasn't happened, which is astounding. Combine that with Red Bull's insane strength, and you have a lethal combination that is nearly impossible to overcome. Indeed, Red Bull boss Christian Horner has already issued a strong warning to his competitors by stating that he believes the Milton Keynes team is the best it has ever been. Adrian and the whole technical team, Pierre Wake, our technical director, head of aerodynamics Enrico Balbo, chief designer Craig Skinner, head of performance engineering Ben Waterhouse, I think this is the strongest technical team we've ever had, and I think that's testimony to the hard work that goes in behind the scenes that has delivered this kind of performance. It has gotten to the point where, apart from the plights of unlucky retirements, there appears to be no driver capable of going head-to-head with Verstappen, with the possible exception of Lewis Hamilton. So will Hamilton be Verstappen's main rival next season? Well, that is exactly what we think will happen. Mercedes has endured a tricky campaign with its W13, which has suffered badly from porpoising and not delivering enough performance to match Red Bull. The team's chances of making a quick recovery have been hampered further by the cost cap, which means it couldn't afford to make changes to its current challenger during the season that it knew would have made it faster. However, with budgets reset for next year and the team now having a much better understanding of where the W13 falls short, Mercedes is optimistic about the level of progress it will make with its W14. When asked for an update on Mercedes' 2023 development and how much performance they still need to recover in comparison to their competitors, technical director Mike Elliott responded, "Obviously, we're well into next year's car at the moment. I think in terms of trying to predict what sort of lap time you need to find, it's quite difficult. I think there are races this year where we've been very close to the front. In fact, our race performance has been pretty decent at a number of races. Then there have been some races where we're some way away. I think what we've been trying to do is understand that, and I think we do understand that now. We know what we need to put right." As a result, Elliott expressed confidence that, despite their current deficit to Red Bull, it is a margin that can be overcome with a focused effort from now until the start of the 2023 season. In fact, the team has not just been optimistic, but has also been able to find significant performance improvements for their next car. As Toto Wolff revealed in an interview, "I think a big chunk of the performance that we are missing we have discovered. It's not something we can change this year. It's decisions that we've made for next year. But I am not 100% confident to say here next year we will be fighting for the World Championship. The aim is, the expectation is, but there's still work to do." So with the Silver Arrows expected to have a championship-worthy car next year, we can all but expect a repeat of 2021, albeit with one caveat. That caveat appears in the form of George Russell, the British driver who could be a double-edged sword for Mercedes. The 24-year-old has had an outstanding debut season with the Silver Arrows, currently sitting ahead of Lewis Hamilton in the point standings while being on par in qualifying pace. He has won the admiration of millions of fans as well as his rivals, with two-time champion Fernando Alonso particularly fond of the Brit. Same goes for Ralf Schumacher, with the ex-Formula One driver describing Russell as a different caliber of teammate for Hamilton when compared to Valtteri Bottas. Russell is now a different caliber for Lewis than Bottas was, and above all, he is a consistent caliber. He is also someone who picks people up, just like Hamilton too. He makes a likable and very buddy-like impression in the team. And while Russell has been a valuable asset to Mercedes this season, staying positive while also providing excellent technical feedback to his team to help improve their car, his apparent parity with Hamilton may be detrimental. And if Mercedes does have a championship-winning car next season and must compete with Red Bull for it, the fact that both drivers are equally matched could work in Verstappen's favor, as the two take points away from each other. But perhaps we're getting ahead of ourselves. Yes, Russell has had a very favorable matchup with his teammate this season, but don't forget that last year's season finale took a significant toll on Hamilton, who has brought a less than perfect attitude to 2022. When you factor in a couple of bad luck races and the fact that Hamilton has returned to form later in the season, the teammates don't seem so bad after all. And don't forget that Lewis Hamilton is still very much the leader of Mercedes, and has been instrumental in getting the team back on track this season and trying to improve morale. He has admitted much himself, stating in an interview that he is doing his part to keep the factory team motivated and ready to go with next year's W14. For sure, I've got to try and continue to G everybody up and make sure we leave no stone unturned so that next year we arrive and we can fight for positions that we deserve to be fighting for, Hamilton said. I think what we always have to remember is this is a team. There are people at this team that have been here over 20 years and delivered 8 titles since I've been here and more before. They know how to build a world championship fighting car. For me, it's just trying to support them in the best way I can. And like Wolff, Hamilton believes his team has a good enough handle on its current issues to build a significantly improved challenger for next year, stating that he has no doubt we'll have a better car in 2023. I think for us, we know what the problems are with this car. I believe that we, as a team, we've not gone from being world champions to not being able to build a good car. I have no doubt that we'll have a better car next year. Whether or not we've rectified every issue that we have this year, we'll find out when we get there. But in the end, how much of a threat Mercedes can pose to Verstappen is almost entirely dependent on Red Bull's development. And judging by how dominant they've been, it's safe to assume they already have a foot in the 2023 championship door. Of course, with the current budget cap controversy raging and the penalties still being determined, it is possible that Red Bull will receive a reduction in aerodynamics testing or the budget, which would undoubtedly benefit the Silver Arrows. Also, we must not forget Ferrari, which began the 2022 season on a high note, only to falter almost every step of the way after the first couple of weekends. If the Maranello team could address their issues, which include reliability, strategy, and mid-season development, we could have 3 players vying for the title next season. As to how Red Bull is preparing for 2023, Verstappen puts it best. In terms of involvement, the rules are not really changing a lot. It's basically a continuation of this year's car, so they pretty much know what I like from the car. But at the end of the day, what's most important is that we add parts to the car that makes it go faster. That's basically always the aim. You learn from this year's car and you try to make it better for next year. What do you guys think? We are pretty confident that 2023 will be a repeat of the Hamilton-Verstappen duel, with Mercedes catching up to Red Bull over the winter. Of course, you can't rule out Ferrari entirely, but it doesn't seem as likely. Will Verstappen repeat as champion next season? Will he face a genuine challenge? Please let us know in the comments section below.